right out. That's an IDOT issue. I've been involved in many, many situations where it seems logical as all heck, and then it just doesn't happen. And it's okay. I mean, the state has their reasons. I get it. So I've seen this way too many times. That temporary becomes temporarily permanent, then becomes permanent. Because the village trustees or whatever will say, we're inhibiting, we're reducing the value of the property, so on and so forth. So there's, so if we're thinking about moving that property, I don't see the highest and best value of the property is an unencumbered property. The second thing, I'm assuming nobody from this property is here tonight?
I am.
Okay, good. So then, do we know what's going on in that corner?
If you'd like, I believe they can answer. I was told to strip mall.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to know what's going on in the corner.
Good evening. My name is John Murphy. I'm the attorney for Edmund Development, which is the owner of this property. To answer the IDOT question first, we've gotten our IDOT permits.
Okay, good.
And let me explain part of the right-in, right-out. It's actually the approval that Tinley gave us is designed to enhance the value of your property. Part of our development approval is that we are to make cross-access easements available to your property. And of course, the village wants that to minimize the traffic in and out. So the development plan's been approved by Tinley. It is a normal strip commercial property. We don't have any tenants yet, but the type of tenants you see all the time, the auto parts people and things like that. The purpose of this easement, and let me emphasize that it's temporary, we don't have any objection to restriction of time to 6 months, subject to weather. And again, let me just explain, the purpose of this is for what's called a haul, H-A-U-L road. Some of you know what that means. It's designed to minimize the truck traffic on and off the arterials for safety purposes. So it's something the village encourages. It's something that's routine for us, and it helps us move the job faster. We're in for permits with Tinley Park, and we want to get this job done before the winter. So that's why we have no objection to the board modifying the term from 1 year to 6 months, subject to winter. We guarantee the putting the land in the place where it was, because that's what we want anyway. So I think this, if anything, if this board's in a sell mode for the property, anything that encourages development, anything that facilitates development on our property, your next door neighbor, helps you market that property, because development begets development. If the board chooses to decline the easement, I mean, it'll cost us more money, and there's a safety concern as well, and that's why the village supports the easement. If you spoke to Paula Walrick, who's the interim building director, I'm sure she told you that.
When do you expect to get your permit?
We are in for permits with Tinley. You may have read that Tinley has become short-staffed of recent months in their zoning and planning department. So, but the village board approvals are all in. So it's staff level only, doing the normal engineering type review. I spoke to Paula Friday. She said it's at the top of her desk. So we're hoping to get it out. We're hoping to get those permits released within the next week or so.
The next one, I'm sorry.
The next week or so. We have to get sequentially. We have to get Tinley sign off, then we get Will County. So you know how it is. It stands like that.
So when do you believe you'll be fully permitted to begin construction?
By Labor Day.
By Labor Day.
Now, This is, I use the term easy, but it's not complicated construction because of the nature of the property. If you know the Frankfurt area, my client has developed where the Aldi's is, Frankfurt Commons 1, and then we just got an approval over across on the east side of LaGrange Road for Frankfurt Commons 2. I know that my client, Mr. Haynes, had the property, years ago, but he's a very competent developer. He's been in the business 45 years. He knows this business, and he's a person of integrity, and that road, your undeveloped land will be put back the way it was.
Question B, you mentioned the cross-access easement. If we enter into this and now have an easement with you, will this, in essence, using your word, encumber us and as a property owner to now make that easement more permanent in any way, shape, or form?
No, let me distinguish the one that we're asking from you with the easements that Tinley imposed on us. The easement that we're asking from the board is just a right to allow us to move your dirt and have our trucks drive over the dirt so that we can get our land cleared and get the stuff on and off. Once that work is done, once we restore, that easement's over, done. Does not burden your property at all, will not affect the marketability of it at all. But the easements I'm talking about, everybody can picture the property, right? They have required us to provide for easements that will run in the favor of your eventual buyer. In other words, that will allow traffic, whatever comes there, to cut through our property. It'll be a curb cut. So that's an easement that Tinley Park is requiring us to give to your buyer to make your buyer's property more valuable, because it will allow your buyer's customers to have an easier in or out. So that's a good thing for you as a seller.
Okay. And then you reference it, and I tried to look this up, and it's not available online, is the Tinley Park Ordinance 2016-0-020. What does that pertain to?
The ordinance approving our site plan and imposing the various conditions and approving our subdivision that creates the easements I just spoke of.
So you're there, you're PUD there.
Yeah, so we're just to repeat again, we're fully done with the village board. We're totally approved by the village board. So everything is staff level.
And what would be if this board did not approve this contract, how would that affect your plans for the property?
It would cost us more money, more time, and create an incrementally more dangerous traffic situation, because it will require more truck movements on public right-of-way.
I have another couple of questions, just real briefly. Have we seen these development plans?
No.
I didn't bring them with me. The development plans are online with Tinley.
I don't disagree. I just think that's kind of an integral part of this whole thing, because with all due respect, Mr. Murphy, you're making a lot of presumptive statements that it's going to add value, that it's going to do this. You're even almost implying that the land will be sold to some form of a retailer, which you may be absolutely correct, but in the absence of that knowledge and in the absence of these plans, I still have a little bit of indigestion with this whole process.
I did set our site plan to Mr. Izzo when I first broached the easement with him.
And I can appreciate that. I'm just asking, is anybody...
Nothing more than the map, correct?
Right.
Yeah, we have the map.
Right, but you're talking about things now like cross easements and a lot of other things that I don't think or anybody at the district level has seen.
Right. And those would be all included in that 2016-0-020. I mean, that's more than just the map.
Oh, yes, sir.
That's what I think we're looking for.
Now again, nothing has been done on your property with these development easements, and it's Not our presumption, it's Tinley's, because they required us to do that.
I do. I understand everything you're saying. I just want to know where we are in the information circle. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what this will appraise at. I've heard numbers that offers have been made on it before. I'm assuming it has some value. But I'm going to be a little bit tentative at creating anything that could inhibit as much as even a 10% swing in that property value for such a short period of time and for such a small dollar amount. So, that's just one person's opinion, but I don't think we are fully informed as to what our neighbor is doing on that property, what benefits may be being created, as he stated, and how, and I'm still going to go back to my first comment, would be that we might have the cart in front of the horse here, because we're going to get this property evaluated, appraised. I'd like the opinion of the appraiser to tell me whether any kind of temporary or other easement is going to inhibit somebody's ability to market this property.
Or add values.
Or add value. I'm sorry, yes, I don't mean to diminish you. You're absolutely
And
right.
I'm with you, and prohibit those
So,
possible knockings out.
well, or you know, the appraiser, he or she may come back and say, absolutely, Mr. Murphy's comments are absolutely correct. Development begets development, and do everything you can, and I'll probably be the first one out there moving the dirt to create the easement. They won't let me touch the truck. But in either case, without having that knowledge, I think we're kind of half into the project.
Well, I also think that the big thing is, Mr. Haynes was the first bidder on this property and chose not to buy this property. Now he's coming back and asking for permission to drive his trucks and do these things for really, in the grand scheme of things, a really minuscule fee of $2,500.
If the board doesn't want to do it, let me make one thing clear. This project's going to get built this fall, come hell or high water. It is a request, one neighbor to another. If you don't want to do it, just tell us, and we'll move on. But we thought that this is something that is really a modest request that doesn't hurt one property owner, assists the next door neighbor. And I don't see how a temporary easement that will be long gone by the time this property is sold, because nobody's going to buy that property unless they get the zoning they want, which is going to take you 2 years with the Village of Tinley Park. So this will be so far in the rearview mirror by the time this property really would come to market that I can't envision any adverse impact.
As much as I appreciate your vision, I just want to clarify one more thing. You don't believe that your best case scenario, your time schedule is a Labor Day, dirt starts to move in that corner?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Additional discussion.
I don't know what other board members think about getting the appraisals, but I think we're moving in that direction. And it might make sense if we're going to do that to have that appraisal done first, and we have another board meeting before they would be moving dirt.
I just wanted to state, when I said I would run it by the appraiser, I wouldn't necessarily wait for a full appraisal to be completed, because again, that was going to be part of the questions I have when we come to that point. That cycle time could be long and blow through Mr. Murphy's time schedule. If we identify an appraiser tonight and we decide to engage and take forward in that process, probably the second question out of, are you ready to take the engagement, would be that we've been approached by the neighboring property at that blah, blah, blah. They are approaching us for a temporary easement, 6 months in nature with a series of 30 days extensions. What is your thought, opinion? Does it harm or whatever? And then in the meantime, we can get a copy of what the development's going to look like, these cross easements and everything else, which the appraiser's going to want anyway. And then we can say, we'd be making a more informed decision. That's all that is.
We do have a vote. We do have a first and a second.
A motion with a first and a second.
Can I make a motion to table
Thank you. I was going to suggest.
this to the next meeting?
We have a motion to table it to the next meeting.
May I have a second to
I
table
would
it?
Second?
I would second that.
Okay.
Date of the next meeting,
Yes.
August 18th.
date 18.
Yep. And then hopefully we can get your answer. We can get some answers and make a quick decision here for you.
What do you want from us, and who should I work for, the lawyer or
Yeah, we can talk after the meeting.
All right, I mean, just, you can get it from Tinley, all our site plans are on, they're all, they're all public record, the elevations, all that stuff the village has, so.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
And
you
then
so
if, and
much.
then if it turns out that we're gonna go ahead without you, we'll let you know before the 18th, but I appreciate the tabling motion till then.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for answering a lot of our questions. Independent contractor agreement with Aunt Nancy's Child Care.
At your places this evening, you'll find a proposal for an independent contractor agreement with Aunt Nancy's. Some of the changes on the first page, number 1, term of the agreement will begin on July 1, 2016. That would be retro, and at such time either party chooses to terminate the agreement in accordance with item 16, that would be the 90-day out. It would be our intention, if the board chooses to continue with on-site daycare, we would begin the process to move forward with an RFP, a competitive bid process, for the 2017-18 school year. We would look for direction from the board. It could be something that the Building and Finance Committee could look at in terms of developing that RFP, but our intent is to come up with some remittance for this school year, or a potential intent. No other changes on the first page. The second page, daycare fees. Contractor agrees to charge equal to or less than the average cost of the competitive market in each age group as agreed upon by contractor in School District 210. The cost for the 2016-17 school year is as follows. Infants at $261, toddlers $235, 2-year-olds $220, preschool $198. Those are less than the average of both the study that the district did and the one that was provided by the contractor. Remittance, number 11, is a change. Agrees to remit to School District 210, total of $60,000, $20,000 for the use of each site. Remittance will be paid in monthly installments of $6,000 on the first of the month, beginning in October and ending in the month of July. If overall attendance falls below 85% capacity, the remittance amount due the following month would be decreased by half and remain at that level until the attendance returns to at least 85. That would be based upon capacity of 132, and 112 then would be the total number of attendees. And those are the changes in the contract as was currently in place, with the significant changes in the contract.
Motion to approve the independent contractor agreement with Aunt Nancy's Child Care. So moved. Second? No second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. I have a question. The fees, as outlined, it doesn't specify, and I'm sorry, is that weekly, is that monthly?
I'm sorry, that's a weekly fee.
Can we amend that to
We
say?
can. Yep.
Thank you.
The 20,000 for each building, does that cover, that was based on what?
Well, that would be remittance, that would cover the cost of utilities and operation, but would also begin to pay back the district some of the costs incurred over the years in terms of the playgrounds and so on and so forth. And also that's a number that they were willing to agree upon. It comes down to the decision of whether or not, I think we're at the point the board can accept this. The board can choose to opt for the 90-day out clause. This is what they were willing to agree to at this time. As I've said, this is not the perfect scenario. I think you get the best situation if we go to a competitive bid process, but the timing with the 6 month of the DCFS, it's something we'll have to put into place next year if the board chooses to continue to provide on-site daycare, something we can remedy and fix moving forward. This would be something for this upcoming school year.
So the question is if with that RFP, with that 6 month waiting, are we going to have to do that RFP then in
We're at
October, November,
Absolutely,
so that we
absolutely.
have that person has 6 months to get all the DLS.
That person will have to be notified and approved by the board at that December meeting so that they can start the ball rolling. So by August 1, that would give them time.
Okay.
But it's something we would start in the fall.
So DCFS will not offer like a tentative or a provisional permit. They have to be bona fide and certified and licensed
You have to
before.
have a license in order to operate, that would hit from day one. Just curious, has there been any, we've had a lot of discussion about Aunt Nancy's and childcare. Anyone out there that's come knocking at the door with any interest and saying, hey,
We have had interest just to notify us when we get ready to go to the process. They would at least be interested in the specs of the bid.
Ms. Molinaire, can you speak more into the microphone, please?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, your voice is so soft.
Sorry, I just asked if there were any entities out there that would be possibly interested whenever we do go that RFP going forward.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
How many students do they currently have?
They're going to be right at 132, Chris, is what they're basing that capacity on.
What's max?
The DCFS maximum number, I believe, is higher, but the numbers they gave me was 132 total, and I don't have the breakdown by building with me. It's in my office.
So it's not 44 per building. It could be based.
Correct. There's a little more in one building. I think there's 47 in
That's
one
fine.
and 41 in another. Yes.
So what does this change for an average teacher who has a child in
Depending
the
upon the
age of the
the
child?
age of the child. The infant increase is quite a bit. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know it was in the hundreds of dollars for, probably
$100 a week or $100?
No.
$100 a month.
over the course of the year. It's going to be probably a $700 increase, $800 from last year, but that didn't factor in their annual increases. I don't know what their annual increases are. I haven't tracked their rates over the years. This is the first, number 5 is this agreement now.
Yeah.
But the previous was a 20% discount to employees. The discount was based upon the charge and not necessarily an area average.
Right. So this puts a line in the sand and
You have to
makes us
stay
draw from there.
below the average. But it's still an increase.
I'm still expecting a higher dollar amount. And adding in this where they go below 85% capacity, and I understand that there is some business risk that they're dealing with having 1 year and potentially how it's going to impact their instructors, etc. But if they were, that's why I don't understand why they wouldn't tie it to revenue, because they would be protected on the downside. Now this is giving, basically if they lose 20 students, they only have to pay, cut it in half. So I have a problem with that.
So do I.
And I agree, and that's something we can strike, and then if the board agrees, I bring it back to them. This is obviously something that they'd asked for, and I brought up the same point, Chris, because I had brought the proposal of the percentage of revenue.
But if that's something that's important to them from a business standpoint, then I don't even know why they wouldn't even consider the
revenue.
percentage of revenue.
I understand.
Well, it seems a little outlandish that they don't want to be tied, it seems a little outlandish that they don't want to be tied to paying us based on the percentage of revenue, but they're more than happy to penalize us based on the percentage of revenue. It just seems unacceptable.
Can we, maybe the person who made the motion, amend the motion?
We're discussing.
Okay,
Keep going.
that's fine. Sorry.
So I wanted one thing. I see they've got liability coverage in here. Do they prepay that for the whole year?
That I don't know. We get their insurance certificate.
I know, but is it for the full time of the contract?
think it's for a year.
For a
Okay,
year.
so it's not a month to
Every year
month,
we
they're not
get-
paying a
And
monthly
that-
premium?
that's
Except by
governed by
DCFS.
DCFS.
Okay,
You have
okay,
to
good.
prove that
All right.
dollar.
All right,
that
just, isn't that
privilege.
stated in here? So I just wanted, rather ask than find out afterwards that, oops, so, okay. A little question about space. A lot of discussion about where the student population lies within the district. Does East have the capacity to do that?
Those 2 classrooms have been reconfigured for this purpose. And we would have to go in, remodel, knock out quite a few walls. We could do that, and that would need 2 classrooms.
Who's going to pay for that?
So that is a consideration. At Central, same thing. There are 2 classrooms in the middle of the building. We would have to go in, knock out some walls, renovate. We could change them back. And then west, those areas were built with this specific purpose.
So the answer to the question is, East has the capacity to service this appropriately based on the
Absolutely.
population?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does. It does.
How many teachers actually have students in the program, do you know, ballpark?
I don't have, I mean, I don't know how many multiples there are, but
Right.
this current year, I mean, I believe of those 132, they'll all be Lincoln Way employees.
210 employees.
210
You won't have
employees.
210 or partner elementary districts.
Right, but you're saying that they're probably all going to be 210 because they're going to
I
have the
think
capacity.
this year they might be all 210.
All 210.
Yeah.
The only other thing too on line item 4, we did miss with this as a feeder district. You did miss Laraway.
Oh, Union?
Union, I'm sorry, Union,
I
yeah.
apologize, I can get that.
If you could just add Union on there as well. I doubt it's a very small piece of our district, but.
Additional comments?
I've said it before, I've said this before, and I'll say, I support this benefit for our employees, I'm a big supporter of it. But I do agree with Chris's highlight about the 85% and having that struck.
From the standpoint of, I think a lot of us saw all the DCF violations from prior years. I mean, do we have assurances that those have all been remedied at this point? And do we have the most current DCFS reports?
I do not have the report. I went through the violations that we were aware of, and they said they've been corrected. And then the ones that obviously are on site, we've corrected.
So we've looked at all of those that...
I haven't gone through their latest list, Chris. I went, from what I received, I went through a checklist with them, and they said yes, yes, yes. And I know when we received from them, these are the items on the report from the building side, we get those corrected. But in terms of their last report, I don't have that physically on me, no.
And background checks on their employees.
Can I answer some of those
Yeah.
questions for you? Whenever you have a business as a daycare, the violations that you incur through DCFS in your yearly visit, those have to be corrected, usually within 30, 60 days, depending on the violation. You have to provide proof that you have met that violation, done the corrective action. If you don't, your license will be revoked, it will shut you down. And then you had another question after that.
Fingerprint.
Just on
Oh,
that
on
point,
the
background.
fingerprinting, that is part of your background check that you have to do whenever you license with DCFS, and part of their annual visit is ensuring that all those background checks have been met. You have to supply a listing of all your employees in the facility and comply with background checks, appropriate credentials, all of that's on file.
yeah, but when I looked at it, I mean, I saw in multiple years, like the mulch, I think wasn't, there wasn't enough mulch or something. So if they corrected it, it
It
doesn't
decomposes,
appear.
it does wear down, and you do need to address
Replacing
that.
it, we are replacing it.
Yes.
Aunt Nancy
And
does
every,
it.
like I said, when we've received notice, we've put the mulch back, in terms of the slide and the bird, we clean that up. I know they cleaned that up. I know they worked to monitor that, so, but I don't have the latest report.
I mean, it looks
We
like
have
most
a
of them are
report
done.
except for a yearly report. So those visits are done in the fall, so a new report will be coming out in the fall.
That's what I was just going to say. It looks like most of those are done in August or September from the day of the reports. Can we make sure that we are monitoring that?
You're here for our kids, not the kids of the staff.
We can be
Yeah,
sure that
Microsoft,
from our side, the outside, is where it needs to be. In terms of their services that they provide, that's, I'm hoping that they won't have as many riders.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm concerned because I think, daycares are always, low margin businesses. And they're just, it appears, still going to be passing these costs or any additional fees charged right onto the parents.
Yes.
And I just think, when you consider the revenue that they're making and what they would typically have to pay, the rent, utilities, everything like that, the maintenance that we're doing. I know they're paying for the food, but the food prep and everything like that, the use of pools, everything like that, it just doesn't seem like this is the proper remittance.
Exactly.
Thank you. Shame on you guys.
And I can't disagree with you that I'd like to see a heck of a lot more there, but the question is, for right now, we're between, what do we do in the interim? Do we cancel it and not provide that?
Just like
To me personally, I think this is a financially motivated decision, and I don't think they're going to walk away if
we ask for more
to 90,000.
I'd say we push back. And, we have a motion on the floor, but we could very easily throw the 85% off and ask for a larger dollar amount. Okay, what do you think how far can we push it, in your opinion?
Well, I thought 90,000 was an appropriate amount. I'm willing to say, again, this is difficult because I don't know the negotiations, but if there's you can figure out what that is as a percentage of the revenue, and granted, if they run into issues because of, this, I'm willing to have that decline, but not in half. So I would say, okay, 90,000 is what X percent of your revenue, this is what we think it should be. That would be
I think it should be struck completely. I mean, how many businesses do you know everybody wants a guarantee? I mean, that's insurance, and I mean, in business and in life, you don't have a guarantee.
And if you had a lease on someplace in a strip mall to do it, you would get a guarantee from your landlord saying,
right. I'm saying as you go up into a higher $90,000 at this point, and then you have to have. That's why I was saying as a percentage of revenue, because you have to have some way to have it, because that does become a bigger business risk for them. That would be.
Scott, I thought we had some monthly fees from Eisenhower or Sandberg or somebody else that had daycare facilities. Didn't we have some correlating numbers or something?
We do. They're all structured differently. With Joliet,
The Easton actually had them.
I will ask for there to be quiet in the audience, please. Thank you.
with Joliet, it's into the 40,000s for I believe 45 students, but I'm not sure of the number.
Further comments?
So if I'm hearing correctly, you would give, well, I guess we could vote the motion down or table it, but go back, look for a remittance of 90,000, work on the attendance rate of capacity, and bring it back in August for another discussion.
I think that's reasonable.
My concern is that if we're at risk of not offering daycare for individuals, then they can't know this on August 18th because school started.
Can we approve it based upon a 90 and striking the 85%? That we say we will agree to this, but they have to come and meet the other piece. Otherwise, bring it back to us on the 18th. But you're right. Then we're pushing it to the edge, or we have to call a special meeting.
Tell them to make a plan B.
Shouldn't have waited this long. This is why you guys waited too long.
strike for the 90 or the 60 and make it 90.
Yes.
Take out the 85% capacity. Any other changes?
Just the addition of the additional school district.
Okay.
The addition of number 7.
Okay.
Yeah, that's mine.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. We have changed the contractual agreement.
We have to technically
And we need to,
change the motion, do we not?
well, the motion reads to approve the independent contractor agreement with
50,000
Kansas
per
Child
school.
Care as it is. It was not specified.
With adjustments made.
That fell long.
With the adjustments made.
Let's
let's
go
do the
100,000
motion.
per school.
Somebody make the motion to approve with the adjustments made.
So
We're going to pull out
And
it?
second.
Second.
Pat Powers is going to pull out.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Mr. Gozo?
Aye.
Mrs. Glatz?
Aye.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Mr. Kirking?
No.
Mr. Costick?
No.
Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Mrs. Molinari?
Aye. 2017-2018 PSAT placement exam.
Well, Tim had briefly discussed this. We're moving into the SAT world right now. And in the past, our 8th grade placement test has been the Explorer, which coincides with ACT, and we were able to measure that student growth moving through. What it comes down to, the PSAT 8-9 will cost about $10,000 per student, and we would test all of our feeder school students. It would cost about $18,000. If we rent a new Explore test, which we would have to do because the Explore tests that we currently have are online everywhere, to rent a new one would be $19,600. Now, the Explore test that we purchased served us well. Tim, how many years did we get out of our...
Probably 15.
So, I mean, we got our money's worth in the Explore test that we purchased. But it would be a recommendation to move to pay for a placement test. The PSAT 8-9 would also give us that 8th grade baseline data as we move this group of 8th graders to freshmen on through. And so it would be a recommendation to move that direction. Tim, anything to add? You work closely with this.
Just, we haven't talked to all of our feeder schools during the summer, but I know 2 of them specifically like this PSAT 8-9, that they think it'll give them some good data. That's one of the advantages of actually sending it away. They will get back reports in the feeders as well as we'll get on the kids, things what their strengths are in math and reading and writing. So I don't think we have much of a choice on it. The Explorer's just dead for us. It doesn't really do anything for us in the future. So.
This is going to cost $18,000?
Yep.
Approximately.
Yeah.
And then, Tim, with the SAT, you said it's probably going to be free in the spring, unlike the 60 or so thousand we paid for the ACT last year?
Yeah, it is the state free test, and last year was the year that they didn't give us anything free, and that was the board's decision to follow up, which we appreciated, paying for the ACT for our juniors. But it's a mandate that they need to provide a test, and the SAT is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I'll bet, they'll have a run now.
Yeah, and it's an advantage for us now to know the game. I mean, we know the game. This will provide that baseline. We can start to track our growth. We missed that the last 2 years as the state has gone away from the PSAE, moved to the Explorer, which really didn't help. So getting back into a structured game, I think will be very beneficial to the district.
Tim, how do we, you notice in here, I'm noticing that it says all the public and feeder schools. What do we do with the private kids that are coming out of the private grade schools into Lincoln?
Well, in the past when we've done Explorer, because it's one that we've purchased, we've allowed them all to take it, given them the data, and then the kids could take it to Providence. But this would have to be kids who can't guarantee it, but who say they are going to Lincoln White. It's our placement test, so.
Yeah, but if we pass this would only be the kids in the public school. Would there be a cost that we'd have to pass along to those parents that are looking to go?
No, I think that any student that's coming in, we would have enough. 18 would cover enough for our typical freshman class.
Okay.
Motion to approve the 2017-2018 PSAT placement exam.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Further discussion? Will we be able to communicate that to parents that we are making the shift from Explore to PSAT?
I've got an email ready to go next week as soon as this is all settled in.
Okay. I have another question. We have, in the past, because we've been an ACT school, we've offered Saturday test dates of ACT. Will we continue to do that?
Every school's going to still do that.
And we'll have the SAT as well on a different Saturday or however that works?
Possibly. We're going to have the ACT heavy and then a lot of SAT sprinkled into classes. Social Science has already said they've got passages of SAT style reading and writing ready to go that they're going to use. So depending on the school and the timing, we do a freshman placement test in algebra now on Saturdays.
Yeah.
You can get into a lot of Saturday testing, but the ACT is still there. I believe we'll still do things in the building like West has done a West test day. And it may not be an SAT. We're going to decide that may be an ACT that everybody can take because we're still good at that. I don't want to lose our edge on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Let's do a roll call, please.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Mr. Kirking?
Aye.
Mr. Costick?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Mr. Kozel?
Aye.
Mrs. Glatz?
Aye.
Mrs. Molinari?
Aye. Informational items, report from the Lincoln Way Area Special Ed 843 Governing Board, which was held on June 28, 2016. Mr. Lulo?
Yes, I attended that meeting. There were three things significant that came out of that. One was the budget proposal that we approved earlier this evening to bring back to 8:43, which is Tuesday, so I'll be back there with that. And then also our business manager had left, and we were able to hire a part-time business manager 3 days a week or so. And between that and an administrator who was displaced out of Lincoln Way will be also part-time between transportation, taking that part over from Mr. Leone, and doing evaluation. So getting the help that the director was asking for and needed. And basically for maybe $5,000 to $10,000 more than just the business manager position. So we need two people for a little bit more than the price of one. So overall, we feel, the director feels it's a good deal. And we'll move forward with that for the upcoming school year. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. FOIA requests.
Chair, backup materials FOIA request from June 6th through July 14th. This has really been taxing on our staff. As you can see, we have individuals with 28 FOIAs, 8 FOIAs, 11 FOIAs. We're also collecting information, as everyone knows, for the SEC and the Department of Justice. And over the next month or so, we're going to have to discuss the possibility of getting some help to handle some of the volume of these.
Scott, with this, between you and Dr. Murphy, how much of your week would you say is allocated to this?
Well, right now, several hours. And correct, for Dr. Murphy in particular, several hours a day right now. And then, obviously,
4 pages.
not only there, we're also, our bookkeeping department, our clerical staff, Mrs. Fennell spends quite a bit of time collecting data as well. It's 97 in a little over a month. That's a busy month.
That's double than the previous month. Just
Yes.
point that out.
Yes.
Looking at the future and possibly hiring someone to assist in that capacity would be, what would you anticipate that dollar amount to be?
It would depend upon the FOIAs by week. So we would look to get somebody that's willing to work 2 or 3 days a week as needed. If we don't get the FOIAs in, we wouldn't need them. It would be in the range, of probably the high teens to low 20s an hour. At the same time, we work with our attorneys on many of these FOIAs right now, and we continue to work with our law firm on certain requests.
How much are you engaging in our attorney?
How much are we engaging our attorney? This past week, I would say probably 4 hours worth.
Unfoiled questions.
Correct. On research and response.
Okay. Well, I think we should proceed. It continues.
4 hours over the last 2 weeks, I'd say. Correct, yeah. Because we spent quite a bit of time today.
Right. Legislative report.
Legislative report. This also goes with correspondence, kind of 2 in 1. Senate Bill 2047 was passed. It received correspondence from Representative DeLuca outlining some of the highlights. All school districts received their fiscal year 16 general state aid amount. Then all school districts receive a portion of a $250 million equity grant. The amount each district receives is in proportion to the amount they received of the total supplemental GSA in fiscal year 16. So if a school district received 1% of the supplemental grant, it would receive an additional $2.5 million. Then the third point, if a school district's fiscal year 17 GSA claim under the current funding formula would have been more than the amount received under the first 2 steps of Senate Bill 16, then the school district will receive an additional amount that would allow them to receive what their FY17 GSA claim would have been. So if you have his letter, if you go down to the second to last grouping there, Senate Bill 2047 represents an overall statewide increase of $900 million to elementary and secondary education, including a $361 million increase in general state aid. Lincoln Way will receive an additional $41,239, or 0.8% in GSA funding. Had this not been enacted, we would have lost, what was the calculation, Steve, over a couple $100,000 based upon
Declining enrollment.
Declining enrollment and an increase in our EAV. So the fact that something happened is good. There were many districts that fared much, much better than we did.
I think, I know, and I did a lot of research, made a lot of phone calls when this data came out, and just to kind of put this in perspective for everybody, Lincoln Way got approximately $5.61 per student. If you look at Anthony DeLuca, who kindly wrote us a letter, kind of tooting his own horn about what he did, but for one of his own Thornton schools back at his home, a little closer to his own home, he got $441 per student. So when you look at our $5.61, $441 kind of dwarfs it. And you think, well, maybe they're looking at a poverty number. They're looking at this, that, they need the money more.
It's right to the equity grant.
Yep.
Correct.
But if you look at that, they spend significantly more per student than we do. And then if you look at the poverty indexes or whatever variable you're looking at, you look at New Trier. New Trier got $12.50 per student. So quite frankly, yeah, we did lose, but there's a lot of people who won a lot bigger than we did. And there was even a school out there that got in excess of $1,400 per student. So in the race down at Springfield for money, we really were at the very bottom of the list.
Buildings and grounds report. Ms. Fulton.
Yes, the crews at all 4 buildings right now continue to move furniture around the district to prepare for the upcoming school year. Also, the cleaning crews in the buildings. We are on schedule at this time with the cleaning. We'll be prepared for the upcoming school. At your places, you have utilities and structural maintenance report. It's complete through May of 16. You can see that we continue to spend less this fiscal year than the previous fiscal year. Year to date, $1,118,023.72 less. By the next meeting, we should be able to close fiscal 16 on this report. Also, you had the electricity and natural gas analysis. Again, we were unable to close the fiscal year, but we're complete through May on electricity, complete through June on natural gas. And we'll continue to monitor this as we continue to run our co-generators as much as we can based upon their performance.
Thank you. Asset of the month.
Asset of the month, family life, provides high levels of love and support at home. Spend one-on-one time, give your child space to think, rest, and rejuvenate. At school, focus on the positive during conferences and teacher meetings. And in the community, be a role model for kids. I said it a month before August.
Thank you. Mrs. Lopez, Foundation Report and Alumni Report.
Our current fundraising activities include the calendar campaign, the partner program, and our dream raffle. Our calendar campaign is currently we released our calendars to the printer, and they have been available for purchase online, and our foundation directors as well as volunteers will be selling calendars on scheduled pickup days. Our partner program continues to enjoy positive momentum. We have 37 partners currently, and we just visited a new partner prospect yesterday. It was a very good meeting. We'll follow up with them next month. We're working on kicking off our dream raffle and presently securing coupon sponsors. Our coupon sponsors' donations cover the cost of printing our dream raffle tickets. We are seeking 12 sponsors. Currently we have 9 secured. They are Ambrozinos, Aurelio's, Bella Fiore Flower Shop, Chicago Dough, Fuller's Car Wash, Gatto's, Teardrop Cafe, Pizza Mia, and Dancing Marlin. We'll nail down the other 3 in the next few days, I'm sure. On the alumni side of things, the classes of the Fabulous 50s are planning their reunion for Saturday, August 6th. They received a lot of volunteer help from one of our alumni from the class of 1979 who was working on their program book for them, so that's a very nice collaboration. The class of 1966 is planning a weekend reunion on September 9th and 10th, and the classes of 1986 and 2006 are planning their reunion activities the weekend of September 30th. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's District Report.
Community relations.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Atwell. Community Relations.
Last month, 20 students from all Lincoln Way High School JROTC programs attended a cadet leadership course at Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. With over 17 schools in attendance, the selection for leadership positions is competitive, but our cadets were chosen for 4 of the 10 flight commanders, and they brought home many other awards as well. Over 600 community members attended the 2016 Lincoln Way Rock Orchestra concert in the Fine Arts Auditorium. The 115-member ensemble was comprised of 5th through 12th graders, all in the Lincoln Way area. Students represented all high schools and middle schools. Summer sports camps for kids continue at each of our schools, and our second session of summer school wraps up tomorrow. Teachers have attended numerous education conferences throughout the summer and are already busy preparing for the first day of school, August 17th. Nadia Edwards, the well-known head volleyball coach at DePaul and native of Frankfurt, is speaking at Lincoln Way East at 3 p.m. on Monday, July 25th. The event will focus on volleyball skills and strategies, but any and all athletes are invited to attend. Lastly, as Dr. Riley stated earlier in the meeting, we are incredibly proud of our students and teachers for working so hard to achieve these incredible AP results. We look forward to publishing those details. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's District Report.
Just one item, and I sent this with the packet for the Finance Committee. We did contact 6 appraisers for a quote for appraisals on all of our properties, the 3 vacant large parcels and then the 2 vacant home lots. We received 3 different prices, $9,300 from Associated Property Counselors, $7,500 from Appraisal Associates, $9,500 from the Gorman Group. The others declined or did not provide a bid. If direction from the board, we worked with Appraisal Associates who came in at $7,500 to move forward. Just need direction on that. It's under the bid threshold and it's a specialty item. I know there's a couple questions, so go ahead, Joe.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I can't help myself. So, on the appraisals that you got, did they give a time frame for completion?
Steve, what did we say on our time?
We asked for a month.
130 days. Did they say what type of appraisal they'd be providing? Market appraisal?
Many times we do both.
Okay.
I've seen them both, but no, we didn't specify
Okay.
exactly.
But we'll at least be getting market. we won't get a best and highest use or anything, just,
Well, we can ensure that, that's what we
We
get.
can ask for that.
okay. I just want to make sure that the price, as we come back, we decide what we're going to do with it, we get a full vet, maybe not so much about Harlem and 191st, but some of the other locations that might be more relevant when they come back and say, this is what it's good for.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure. And then, and this seems like it's going to be a real obvious question, but again, because I don't know, what are we going to do once we get it appraised?
Well, it'll be brought back to the board that these are the prices. We'll analyze that based upon what the district paid for them, and then it'll be a board decision to set a price to go for a bid.
Okay, so this will be used as a basis or a benchmark to then take it to market in whatever the appropriate form is.
Could be. I mean, if it comes back that one of them's $1 million higher than we had anticipated, the district paid, $5 million, and it comes back that it's appraised at $7.5, we may want to say, the board may set a minimum bid threshold of $6 million. But this just gives us an idea. It really gives us a starting point for the conversation.
So just again, this is my noviceness here. So it doesn't create any obligation to set that as the price if we do that. Okay, just wanted to be careful because I know sometimes when you go out and you say, boom, here it is, it becomes part, then it says that's all you can do with it. Because I would say maybe the other might be true. I appreciate your optimism. But if it came back and says we're $6 million, and we're like, yeah, but we need it to go now,
Sure.
so we don't have to set it at $6 million. Okay, very good. That was the nature of my question.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep. So unless there's anyone who thinks it's not a good idea, we'll go ahead and contact Appraisal Associates tomorrow and get the ball rolling and ask them some questions.
That's also what the Building and Finance Committee agreed on, is to bring that forward to the board. Move forward with the support, the recommendation.
If you did move forward, how quickly would they start?
The appraisal process?
The 30-day starts tomorrow.
Hopefully they'll start tomorrow. I mean, they had indicated that they could have these completed in 30 days.
And then just the final follow-up from our conversation with
I'll ask
Mr.
them
Murphy.
about that.
Perfect, thank you.
Absolutely. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Correspondence, there is information in your board packet in regards to the conference. And anybody else have anything? We do not have closed session. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you.